I declare this meeting open. Please follow me in the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Logan County Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is February 15th, 2018, 9 a.m. We've called the meeting to order and went through the flag salute. Item number 3 on our agenda is any citizen desiring to be heard. Do we have any? Hearing none. Item 4, consideration and possible action on approving minutes of January 5, 2018.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second Mike's motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries without objection. Let me sign this for Troy right quick so I don't forget. Item number 5, consideration and possible action on approving final plat of Canyon Creek Phase 2 in the southwest quarter of Section 9, 15 north, 2 west, as far as the range goes.
Well, it's already a plat y'all approved before, it's just changing the boundaries and 2 lots. Let me turn it around for you.
Molly, read upside down and backwards.
And that is upside down.
That's more complicated than dominoes, man.
So you're just adding to it?
We just changed like the boundary of, we had to, I think, reduce it because of,
This is over in your area, Mike,
Where is it?
it is.
off Pine and Seward,
Yeah.
Pine and Seward.
between Forest Hills and Seward off Pine.
Oh, they're
and
at
Center
Forest
Pine.
Hills?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's already a neighborhood. We're just changing the boundary of a lot.
Right there at Forest Hill and Pine?
It's in Canyon Creek. They're just changing
Oh,
the boundary.
Canyon Creek up.
They're just changing one of the lot bound lines.
Okay. All right. I'll move we approve.
Second.
I don't see a signature page yet.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes without objection.
I had them
I
all.
see it now, but it's upside
I'm
down.
ready for y'all. That's not how it can work when I show up, is it?
Forest Hills and Seward off Pine.
I know it's working.
Case Damon has the copy.
That's that one right there on the corner. Forest Hill and Pine.
Are you talking about a new one that's going in? I don't think it's that one. I don't think it's right on the corner.
Canyon Creek's at Forest Hills and Center on
What'd
the
you
east
say?
side of the road.
Forest Hills and Center, okay. That's why I was getting
Yeah.
mixed up. That's what I thought.
We have 3
There's
chairs.
one over there, just barely in my front.
We added it the third one.
Yeah. They got that pipeline going through there right now.
We've already voted on this,
I'll
right?
slide it this way and finish them.
What, I have a box of donuts. We would have had shares here.
bringing it for you guys, but his friends are here, so.
I knew they were for us. Send the one out.
You tell them Harlow didn't eat the donut?
Nope, didn't touch him.
What?
Already ate breakfast.
We did too, so that's.
Sure, if you don't get up to about 9, so.
Get y'all to work on the verbiage. Because this is actually for me to certify that they really signed this.
Greg might.
And there's only one chairperson, the other two.
Yeah, you just shoved it all at me.
So,
Clip on
because
though.
see, for this,
looks like
I-
legal.
No, in case they get you by the top.
Hereby certified that the said county commissioners do approve.
It's the only time Marines ever work football.
It'll be fine, I
when
mean,
they
it's
go
not
in
just
and out.
it's just a little
Yeah.
awkward. And then, like I said, we have one chairman and then 2 members.
Okay, I think we're done with that. We voted and all that and stuff.
Thanks.
They'll do that when you file it. Just tell them to put the seal down there to file.
And then we don't do this one?
Well, the way the verbiage is, it's kind of, here, I'll change it to what it should be, because I'm just gonna do it this way. That'll work.
I think always been wrong on the top, or is this?
Do what?
I remember if it's always been wrong on the top.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'll go look at some others and tell them to go back to that.
This is for Tracy, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. His tend to bounce depending on who
Yeah.
does them up, so.
Talking about your check.
Yeah, they bounce on the ground.
No, they don't.
Mine do.
Oh, you meant our checks.
There you go.
Thank you.
Till you don't work for the county, though.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, item 6, consideration of possible action to enact a countywide burn ban. Here's the packets, if we pass those down, one to each, and down to Troy. I talked with David Ball about this earlier and with Troy. It appears that we do meet all the requirements to actually enact a burn ban. The first thing, after the requirements sheet in there, the legislation, there's a list of fire chiefs that were polled on our up and down vote on enacting the burn ban. It was 13 yes and 1 no. The 1 no was from Mulhall. Don't know why he doesn't want to burn ban up there.
Never know.
I guess they never had fires up there, so no problem there.
So we do meet all the criteria?
Yes, sir.
to enact?
The next several pages kind of go over that. The drought monitor, we do find ourselves in severe drought, so that's the next bullet that we check. And then the last one is the projected rain and the amount of rain that we've had. The National Weather Service here's updated the projected rainfall Thursday night, 20% before midnight, but they don't say, you don't know where the 20% is going to be, and they don't ever project how much rain we're going to get, unless it's a toad strangler, and then they'll say an inch to 2. But there's no projection of even a half an inch of rain in the near future.
What about the 20% of all the fires? Did we leave that in?
Well, so there's that's kind of what I've been told, kind of a if and or. There's about 3 if and ors there, and let me see if I can find that piece.
That's all right. I mean, if we meet the
Like I said,
criteria.
the majority of the ones we've had have been control burns, out of control, burning trash.
Yeah.
cigarettes, stuff like
I
that.
wish the legislators changed that to use common sense. I mean,
Well,
Right.
that would be a nice change in a lot of their legislation. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And we've had the instance before too that we're in a burn ban and it rains like crazy and everybody's wanting to burn, you know, but commissioners have to have 48-hour notice before you can have an emergency meeting, and so you get a lot of problems that way. So I don't know, Mary's got a burn ban on, so.
It expires tonight at midnight.
Does it?
Yeah, that's why we're considering this one, because the governor will probably, I mean, they say that she will probably extend the burn ban that's in effect today, but we can't really count on that. And again, that's why I had David poll the fire chiefs to find out what the feeling was out there. And we meet all the criteria as far as David and I could figure out. So I make a motion that we approve the countywide burn ban.
You want to second it or you want
sure,
me
I'll
to?
second it. If we
Okay.
meet all the criteria, I'll second Marvin's
If it's
motion.
all the criteria, I'll.
If we could, just to clarify, burn bans can only be for 2 weeks, so this will start and expire on the 28th. That's the resolution calls
Oh,
for it to
okay.
expire on the 28th, just so it's out there.
Well, that makes sense.
You want a copy?
It does.
Well, when would it
I'll
start?
agree with that.
It will start today, effective February 15th, 2018, and end no later than February 28th, 2018, not to exceed 14 days.
So effective immediately,
Yes,
here in 10 seconds.
it's effective now. We got 2 of the same.
Total for a vote.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the item? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes without objection.
Did you say David is out?
Yes, he was here earlier today.
Is he supposed to be back?
Today?
Yeah, he said he'd be back this afternoon and would do all.
I was gonna say, because that
sending
has
in.
to be sent
Yeah.
out, so that
Yeah, he
that's
said he
why I
was-
was inquiring.
He said he was going to send out to the media that needed to go to as well. Okay. All right, item number 7, discussion of county EMS plan filed with Oklahoma State.
I printed all this out
Okay.
that you sent.
Yeah, I got packets too. Yeah, because I'll give you mine when I get finished, Troy. Oh, we got a hospital. So this first sheet in this packet is the plan that was filed back in 2015, I believe, back when Commissioner Pearson was the chairman. And this is the plan that the county is required to have on file with the state health department. It's currently valid because all of these areas, if you go back on page 3 here, it shows the county school districts and EMS boundaries. Even though some of those EMS boundaries have changed, they're still covered today as far as the plan is concerned. So while the plan might need to be updated, it's still a valid plan. The next item is we had the county assessor did run for us based on school districts, which is how the EMS boundaries are done up. And so we can kind of look at, how much money is being generated, would be generated with a 3 mil increase across the county. If we were able to implement a county-wide 3 mil, it would generate just a little over $1 million. EMS I-1 in the center, which is the only school district that we have, an EMS district that is completely contained inside of Logan County. In 2017, generated around 437,000, about 438,000 actually. EMS 2 up around Crescent, which is operated by Miller EMS, generated around 68,000, closer to 69. And EMS 89, which is a Cashin area, generated around 96,000. But you can see how all these play out. Over in the Coyle area, Mike,
Yes.
yeah, it's, when we talk about, implementing a countywide, they don't generate a lot in that whole area.
Well,
So, I mean, the other option that Coyle Langston would have would be to implement a 522, in their municipality. That would generate even less. So it really doesn't pay for them to look at that. It's just as they say, a hot mess. It's hard to figure out what can or may happen. Anyway, that's the 3 mil thing. The other part of this, in order for the county, my understanding, in order for us to implement a countywide EMS district, we would have to undo the other 3, and that takes a unanimous vote of everybody that lives in each one of those districts to undo it, and then another vote to expand it.
mhm.
The challenge that we have is a couple of them. One is that each one of these EMS districts, the people that live in that, 25% of the people there would have to petition the board to take that action. So there would have to be an initiative petition done in each one of these 3 areas, and that would have to come to us before we put it on the ballot. And then the next issue is that once it got put on the ballot, that the 3 dissolutions, if you will, to dissolve the EMS districts would have to pass before they could vote to enact a countywide. So if one of them failed, then there wouldn't be a vote to expand or to enact a countywide EMS district. That's my understanding, my basic understanding of the law. You had a question, Mike?
Well, I think we could put it on the ballot without a petition. I mean, that's up to the Board of Commissioners whether we put something on the ballot or not. But if we was petitioned, then we have to put it on the ballot.
Right. Okay.
But,
Yeah, I think you're right there.
But I also think that it would be very confusing to the people to try to dissolve one and then tell them in the next breath we're going to start another one.
Right.
And then the election would be in Logan County, Kingfisher County, Canadian County, Oklahoma County, if I
Lincoln County.
read that right. So it'd be really, really confusing to do a countywide 522.
I agree.
I don't have a good answer for it.
Right. So to talk about what may or may not come up, there was discussions back in 2015 of the Guthrie EMS reducing the size of their ambulance service area to correspond with the 522 Board EMS district. And the next map you've got shows what the Guthrie EMS ambulance service district looks like today. That's when an ambulance service district files with the Oklahoma Health Department, they get an area, a sandbox that they can play in, so to speak, that they can actually, that they're supposed to service, allowed to service, whatever. This is updated as much as we can that I've been able to find out from the health department. Up north in the Marshall area, you've got Life EMS, and then around Orlando is Perry. Miller EMS has the east side of the county, or west side of the county, excuse me, with Crescent and Cashin. IMSA to the south, and Guthrie EMS in the middle. What I've heard, and maybe Chief Harlow can talk a little more about that if he cares to. The next item, the next map shows a reduction of the ambulance coverage area if Guthrie EMS determines, or if the city of Guthrie determines to reduce its ambulance license coverage area to correspond with the 522 district. The areas that are highlighted in red with the little red stripes across them are the areas that would become uncovered. Monty, that hits you pretty hard up in your area, up around the Mulhall area, and Mike over around Coyle and Meridian.
Well, I got all Langston too.
Yeah, you got Langston too, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yep.
But I mean, it's not a good deal if that were to happen in those areas. I can tell you, I don't believe that would be a challenge for IMSA to pick up the issue, the uncovered areas, the small uncovered areas in South County. But these are the two areas that I think are most concerning as far as if that happens, then the board would need to update our plan, right? And so those are the areas that we would need to figure out what we were going to put on our plan to talk about.
Well, I've had lots of discussions with Eric and other folks involved in this, and the problem is, and I mean, I really can't blame the city of Guthrie, they're running outside of their boundary lines for nothing. So everybody inside the EMS 1 is paying for service for people outside the boundaries. I mean, everyone ought to pay their fair share, but I've been to some of these little towns talking about doing a utility deal where they can, you know, maybe do a contract with the city of Guthrie or Miller or whoever. But there's just not enough revenue there that's going to generate anything.
Right. Well, I mean, that's a problem. That's the problem. Is I mean, we looked at you know, the property tax. There's not enough there to generate the extra as well. I agree with you. It's a decision that the city has to make. However, I've also talked with the 522 board, and they're also looking at when their contract comes up in September. You know, they may or may not look at having a different ambulance service provider, or maybe even splitting the area up for Guthrie EMS to provide inside, like their fire district, which is on the next map, right? So we talked a little bit about that, what that would look like, and possibly IMSA could carry the burden in the south part of the county there to do that.
He's still in.
It's in that packet there, Mike.
I got it. Yeah. I'm not even sure about this life IMSA. I think Miller's covering Marshall, ain't it?
It's a iffy, according to the health department, Life is licensed to do it, but I know Miller is running a lot of the calls.
Right.
And they're working with the Marshall folks to try to kind of get their ambulance back up and running,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And so that's a decision that the 522 board will have to make in September, what they want to do. But they're agreeable to working with the board of commissioners on trying to help make sure that we've got coverage in the county, although they also agreed that coverage outside the 522 is on a as available basis, right? So depending on who they hire or who has a contract, they can go outside that area and provide those services. It's just they're not restricted from doing that. The big challenge that the 522 board has is that they're the ones that are paying for the ambulances, all the equipment, and some of the services, right, to operate the ambulance service inside of the district, which includes Guthrie and that the whole Guthrie school district. Their challenge they have is when the Guthrie EMS goes outside of the 522, it puts wear and tear on the equipment that they're paying for. And so they wanted to know, they really want to know what is the frequency that goes outside of that area. So we shared this last report with them, and this is the one that was generated by the state health department between 2009 and 2014, and they're generating another study for us to look at as well. But this basically shows EMS service call analysis for Logan County through that time. Won't bore you with all the statistics there, but the majority of the calls are in, it shows up here on page 3, of that report, where they got these bar graphs here, and it shows you what zip codes the majority of the service calls went into, and so you can kind of tell what the once the 522 board folks saw this, they understood that probably the majority of the calls that are being taken are actually inside of the area that they're talking about. So, yeah. So, page 4 talks about the top 5 EMS agencies by service call volume, and then table 2 is by zip code and percentage. The interesting thing, the thing that became interesting to me was up there on table 1, when they talk about percent of change of the number of calls. From 09 to 2014, the Crescent Ambulance District dropped 13.7% the number of calls. Guthrie EMS increased 3.4%, so there wasn't like a correlation there. IMSA West increased 50.9%, which is down in the south part of the county, right? The other ones were Cash and EMS, because they first started, they had a big change 09 to 14, so that percentage was skewed by the fact that there wasn't a whole 5 years of data for them in there. The big thing is percentage change from 13 to 14. Guthrie EMS dropped 10.6%, Crescent dropped 18.53, and IMSA dropped 3.08. So between 2013 and 2014, there was actually a decline in the number of ambulance service calls overall in those areas. So it looks like, and that total is reflected down here in all the zip codes. The total change from 13 to 14 was a minus 13%.
So you got an answer?
Do I have an answer? My answer is to continue to work with the folks at the Oklahoma State Health Department, and we'll find somebody that wants to do it. And if not, there's Lifelight, there's subscription services that are available. Our job is this first page here, right here. This is our responsibility. That's all our responsibility is to file this report with the Oklahoma State Department of Health.
Well, I think we need to really work hard to make sure that our citizens have this service.
Oh, I agree. But I think we ought to work hard too, but when it comes down to it, I mean, the three of us could write a check, out of our bank account to provide ambulance service for people that can't pay for it. I mean, at the end of the day, that money's got to come from somewhere, right?
That's what I've been trying to figure out, where it's going to come from.
Well, I don't think there's a good answer for that. Again, we can help people find ambulance service if they want to sign up for a subscription, if that becomes an issue. Right now, it's not an issue. We're talking about what ifs right now. Right now, we have a current plan, and it's good.
Well, Eric, I visited with Cimarron Electric, and they're willing to do a utility fee deal. OG&E's completely out. I mean, it's not.
It's gonna take a statute change to make them change their mind.
But you ain't ideal. I'm willing to listen.
Been racking my brain for almost 7 years on this one, and I think Commissioner Goodman summed it up. It's a hot mess, and there's no easy solution for any of it.
What do you think the percentage of your calls are now outside the?
It's probably 20% roughly. And zip code, I mean, we've been analyzing zip codes forever, and they're not, I mean, they're decent, but they're not super true, because there's areas of Guthrie School District that have an Edmond zip code, and there's areas of Coyle District that have a Guthrie zip code, and vice versa. And it's hard to judge it off that. I mean, you get halfway close, but it's not super accurate.
Yeah, I had a lady in Langston tell me she had a Guthrie zip code. She lives in the middle of Langston.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense. Well, she has P.O. box here.
I ain't gonna debate with her. I mean,
Sure,
that's what
sure.
she said.
It never pays to get in an argument with a constituent, does it?
It's a no-win deal.
They're always right.
Well, I appreciate your research on that, but I was hoping you'd have an answer.
Well, my answer is there's no easy answer.
Well, it's got to go through the legislature. It looks like it's really going to have an answer on it.
You know, that was the thing that when Troy and I were talking about this, and I think we all agree that there's not an easy answer, and the only answer that we've got is through legislation to change the way that 522 boards are put in place. If they remove the restriction from either having, right now it can either be a municipality, a school district, or a county-wide. Those are the only three options we've got as far as a board of commissioners, as far as enacting the 522 board, or asking the people to vote on one.
We can't be alone in this issue. All the other counties, I think, are having basically the same kind of problem, are they not?
Troy, you talked to the,
I mean, I know Lincoln County's having the
I
same
think a
kind
lot,
of issue.
statewide EMS
With county
is an issue, and the biggest issue is funding, because they've set up EMSs, and the valuation allowance, which is by law, the maximum is 3 mills, and 3 mills on rural farmland does not generate enough money to support services
That's
when
what
you're
that-
talking payroll and equipment. And so
Right.
we've had a lot statewide of EMS services close up because they cannot live on what the law allows them for funding. As far as the statutory change, Marvin and I had discussed, and maybe this is something that the EMS districts, the fire districts and that can get some legislators on board with, rather than undoing everything that's in place and getting 4 counties in a mess of trying to have all these ballot questions, and rather than undoing the school district ones, if people are happy with that, we need something that would allow those areas that do not fall in one of those 2 situations
Yes.
to come together to vote to join one of those existing situations. And that's the problem we have right now, is the areas that are not covered, which is our areas to the east with Langston and Coyle and down around towards the Luther area, up around the Mulhall area. We're talking 3 different school districts. They're not allowed to join in. Under the law, they cannot just take a vote and come in. They would have to create their own, and it's not going to generate enough money to support it.
But if Mulhall, Orlando was to do a 522, I mean, on this paper it says they'd collect around 58,000. I mean, that's better than Pope 9. I mean, I think they'd keep Guthrie, keep the carrot.
Okay, but here's the thing. If they took the vote to expand and take that in their own district, because right now you have,
Right.
as Marvin just pointed out, you can have an EMS district by municipality, by school district, or a county-wide. The law would not allow that area up here right now to join in to the
But
existing.
they can contract with whoever they want, though. They can contract with the city of Guthrie.
They can't form, they would have to form their own, is what I'm
Right,
saying.
I get that. If they done a
But
522.
they can't form a 522 to encompass that entire 3 mil area, right?
Yeah, but they can do their school district.
No, they can't. Well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
just their
I'm
school
sorry.
district.
Yeah, they can, but however, the challenge that they have is that school district runs into a couple
Yeah,
other
right.
counties, and they
Yeah.
gotta have elections. in all
And which
those
means you
counties.
gotta go to that county and have an election too.
That's right.
There's no legislation that would allow areas that have that kind of mixture between
Right.
school districts, municipality lines, just that aren't covered, to come together and
See,
join.
And I think they did that because it was simple to do as a taxing entity, right? School district is a taxing entity. But maybe sometimes they forget that county assessors assess property value just in our county, and then it ends up being a pass-through, right? And so those funds, that estimate is just what's generated in Logan County, right, for those school districts. If we were able to get legislation passed that allowed us to break these up as increments, to include these as their own 522, or to allow an existing 522 to expand into that area to help cover that. That would be a fix for us.
But this whole Yalla deal, that would be Mulhall School District.
But it will go into Payne County is what he's saying.
So you'd gather more money out of Payne.
But I think that area of Payne has a trust established
Right.
Right.
for their county.
So their part of that school district is already covered by an ambulance service, is what they're saying. What we need is legislation that allows us to break that at the county line and take these funds and use them as a 522.
You could do the school district as long as it broke at the county line. So it'd be all of the Mulhall district just within Logan County. But because these school districts cross county lines, that becomes our.
Right.
Okay,
So
so
it's
comment if you.
clear as mud.
Sure.
And I talked to Troy about this the other day. We've always been told what has just been discussed, but I found out in northwest Oklahoma there's several that are doing just what she mentioned. Somehow, some way they've done it. Woodward County, Major County, I think Ellis County, they have county-wide 522s, but they also have some school district 522s that are based in other counties that overlap into those counties that have a 522. So somehow they did it.
Yeah.
Have you
No,
had a chance
I
to-
think that.
I didn't bring it up
I think the
because you
state
were gonna
EMS
track
director
that
just tried
down.
to call me because I
Okay.
had an email into him this morning about that. And if you read paragraph J in Article 10 of the Constitution that discusses 522s, it says that an existing can expand to a county or parts thereof. But it doesn't say it has to be a specific geographic reason or area the way it's worded. So I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but the way that
Somebody's
reads in
expanding
layman's
part.
terms, you could take whatever chunk you want and make it part of it. So that's something that, you probably have to get a legal opinion on, but to me, the way I read that is exactly what they've done up there.
So I bounced that same question, Eric, off of Mr. Ackerson.
Yeah.
And his interpretation was, no, you can't do that.
Well,
I
he
mean,
may have not been around when it happened.
I agree. And
It's
so what we
happened,
need,
so-
well, just because something happens doesn't, we need to figure out what they've done, what basis they're using to do that with,
And I talked to
try
Woodward
figure that
County's
out.
director, and she said they did it that way back in the 70s when 522 districts were created. She goes, I don't know how we did it. So it may be one district attorney talking to another and looking back to see what was done legally at
That's
the time.
that's the other thing. I don't know how many district attorneys are in the state.
26 or
Right.
28.
So if you ask the 26 district
different
attorneys,
opinions.
you get 26 different opinions, right? So that's kind of the way that works is on some other things.
But they
as
set a
well.
legal
But
precedence
what,
of doing it, so.
Eric, we really appreciate it. I mean, if you know of several counties that have done that.
I just found this out the other day, so I'm still delving into it myself.
I would be happy to go through our channels too with the Board of Commissioners.
I'll email you a map that's got a list of them.
That would be something that I can throw over the wall at ACO meeting and say, what's up with this? And
Yeah, if that is the case and it is possible, that, it doesn't solve the problem, but it sure solves the issue of the geographic problem, so. The 3 mil issue, I think, is still part of the root base of this problem. Your fire districts can go up to 7 and then up to 10 later on by vote of their residents, but EMS is limited at 3, so there's a
And that
little
was set-
disparity there.
What was that set in 1976?
I believe so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Up to 6. They can go to 9 if they have a bond on your fire district.
Other 7, trust me. I paid it, it's 7.
Okay,
All right.
Any other discussion?
Now, if you come up with something, Eric, give me a call.
Trust me, it's not a mood issue. And I'll tell you guys, just see, our personnel, we don't want to stop providing. Many of those are family members of our firefighters and neighbors, people they've grown up with or related to. I think Commissioner Goodman had made the statement for it. It's a business decision, and sometimes business decisions aren't popular, and but they unfortunately have to be made.
I understand. That's pretty good.
Okay,
All right, thank you, Eric.
thanks, Eric. So item 8, Monty, do you want to read that?
No.
Okay. Consideration of possible action concerning formal endorsement and approval of memorandum of request from Logan County Sheriff's Office through the Logan County Board of Commissioners to the 911 Association of Central Oklahoma Governments, ACOG, Board of Directors in order to upgrade the Logan County Sheriff Office Dispatch Center with E911 equipment, workstations, telecommunications circuits. This action is needed to enable the Logan County Sheriff's Office to serve as the primary public safety answering point for all the enhanced 911 calls originating from the unincorporated areas of Logan County and those emergency service numbers ESN areas where the Logan County Sheriff's Office is listed as the provider for law enforcement services. Sheriff, you're up.
Do you care if I get up here and talk? It's a little easier.
Right for the donuts.
Maybe. Well, we discussed this. This has been an ongoing discussion for quite some time. About our 911 system. Currently, when we receive a 911 call, that currently in Logan County, every 911 call gets sent to Guthrie PD, and they transfer it out, except for a small branch down on south of the county that Edmond gets. And if it's law enforcement or fire, they transfer it back. This is our 911 phone.
Yep.
We get no information. If we have a caller that gets transferred to us and they hang up, we have to call Guthrie to get a callback number to get information. The current screen that they operate with is this, where you have different options. You have call information. This would be mapping, as to where the actual call is coming from. The ability to transfer. Currently, if we get a call that gets transferred to us on 911, and it's actually Guthrie's or Lincoln counties or Payne counties, we have to maintain that caller on the phone, pick up our phone, and call that respective jurisdiction to let them know what's going on. We can't transfer from it. In the last 3 years, I got some numbers from ACOG 911, or 911 ACOG. 2015, 2016, and 2017. There's over 4,000 phone calls transferred to Logan County on this phone with no information. So we get no information for our deputies in the field. Again, if the caller hangs up, there's a couple things we have to determine. Because sometimes we may get a 911 call and it's just a caller. Sometimes we'll get a 911 call that says, hey, this is Guthrie PD, here's a 911 call. If they don't give us that information, we don't even know where that call is sent from. So we don't know who to call back to get caller information or any of that stuff. But by going to a primary PSAT, then all the calls that are in those unincorporated areas come straight to the sheriff's office. And if we determine that it's a Crescent call or a Langston call, they're the only two other municipalities in the county that have an ESN number, then we transfer that call. Another beautiful thing to that I see is we get that information firsthand. We can also respond. If our dispatchers know that this is a call that's going to need some backing officers, we can actually respond to those calls. I see this as a service that the sheriff's office has been lacking since inception of 911. And we have the opportunity now to receive all the equipment free of charge from ACOG, or from 911. There was a OU Health Sciences decommissioned their 911 service, gave it back to 911 and said we don't want to do it anymore for financial reasons or whatever. And so they had this equipment available to us for nothing. There is up to a $10,000 circuits and stuff like that can be paid for with 911 money, so it's not going to cost us anything. So my goal is for us to become a primary PSAT and maintain those areas of our responsibility as the first line call that's received.
So what's this going to do to the workload? I mean, are you going to have to hire more people, or?
Well, at some point in time, I envision us having to hire more people. We're in the process of doing some expansions with our communication center, but we're getting those calls anyway. They're being transferred anyway. If anything, it's going to take the workload off Guthrie, because they're not going to have to fill 4,000 phone calls and send them over to us. So we're already handling those 4,000 and some odd phone calls.
Just on an analog phone.
Yes, on just the
Kind of blind.
Yeah, I tell my guys, it's like trying to land a plane at nighttime without instruments. You don't know what you're getting, where it's coming from, or where you know, the call is located on the 911 mapping system. If you call from a cell phone, we're gonna get a map of a basic area where you're calling from. And in the county, that's huge.
If I could, I think the good point is that the sheriff's brought up is that this is can be done in perpetuity at no cost to the county, and it's not a contract that we're entering into with ACOG 911. That's what they do. And we're a member of that organization. I've got a copy of the sheriff's memo that he wrote to the board here, and I'll pass this along here in just a second. But this middle paragraph seems to be the salient point. There will be no cost to Logan County for 911 equipment as per letter of agreement between 911 ACOG and OSU PD PSAP upon decommissioning of said PSAP to donate the equipment recovered to a public entity in the region, which is us. We were like second on the list. Piedmont was supposed to get it, but they don't run a 24/7 dispatch center, so we came up next. So the equipment becomes available to us. The cost of the circuits will be paid from current, future wireline, wireless, and voice over IP remittance fees collected from citizens and residents living in the unincorporated areas of Logan County. And that's the areas that's being serviced by the county sheriff. I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a service that the sheriff should be providing as well. I think it's in the best interest of the people of the county to do that. We have a resolution here. If you don't mind, if it's appropriate, I can read the resolution that I'm going to ask the board to vote on here in a minute. Okay. Whereas Damon Devereaux, Logan County Sheriff, has formally submitted a request seeking support of the Board of County Commissioners of Logan County for the creation and operation as a primary PSAP for the unincorporated areas of Logan County. And whereas the Board of Commissioners of Logan County support this endeavor as being in the best interest of the citizens of Logan County. And whereas the 911 Association of Oklahoma Governments, ACOG, Board of Directors, is the authority of the E911 PSAP system. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Logan County formally requests that the 911 ACOG Board of Directors consider the authorization and creation of the Logan County PSAP for the unincorporated areas of Logan County at their next scheduled public meeting. And whereas upon favorable approval of the 911 ACOG Board of Directors, that the process to create Logan County PSAP, including but not limited to the installation of E911 equipment, workstations, telecommunications circuits, and establishment of the emergency service numbers areas where the Logan County Sheriff is listed as the provider for law enforcement services immediately commences. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Logan County supports the request of the Logan County Sheriff to establish a Logan County PSAP for the unincorporated areas of Logan County, and requests the 911 ACOG Board of Directors to approve this request and immediately commence the process for creation of Logan County PSAP. Thanks, Troy.
Well, and something else I'll say is, you know, as I spoke with both chiefs at Langston and Crescent, they're on board with this too. I wanted to get their opinions. And you know, this isn't an uncommon to have two primary PSAPs in a county. Talking to RB Hoff at Payne County, they've got their primary PSAP as well as still RPD's a primary PSAP. If you go to Oklahoma County, you got Edmond, primary PSAP, you got Oklahoma City, primary PSAP, you got Oklahoma County, primary PSAP, along with the Village, Nichols Hills, and War Acres. So this isn't something uncommon. I just think
Canadian County's the same way, right? They've got Norman has got a primary PSAP, and Canadian County, the sheriff down there has his own PSAP as well.
So I mean, it's not uncommon. We're just kind of like getting into the game, if you will, on making that service available.
Good. I'll entertain a motion on the resolution.
I'll make the motion.
So nothing hidden that you're not aware of that's gonna come back and blindside the county and,
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
You know, we tried this a
Might
few years
be
ago.
either, Bonnie, I've looked at it, I've talked to those guys too. I don't see a downside to the county.
We tried this a few years ago,
And it was going to cost us for the PSAP because it wasn't paid off. This one, of course, has already been bought and paid for.
Yeah, we were
And
initially
therefore,
looking
we're getting it for several
sticker
dollars
shock,
free.
yeah.
That's huge.
at, 100.
But yeah, we weren't able to do that before, so I applaud you very, very
Well,
definitely.
it's been a
I
good pressure
appreciate this.
between Commissioner Goodman and
Yes.
talking to my staff and 911 college next year.
We have multiple streets that have basically the same name, and it's always been a problem is to figure out which one that we need to respond to. So this is going to completely, totally help you guys out so that you're not spinning around going to the wrong area of the county.
I agree.
So I'm totally for this. You bet.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion by the board? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes unanimously. Let me sign this and get it back to Troy here. There you go. Okay, item 9, consideration and possible action on approving resolution disposing of HP LaserJet 600 printer for the sheriff's office.
I'll move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes without objection. Item 10, consideration and possible action of approving purchase orders for CBRI account for striping 9 miles of roadway in District 1. I've got some maps here that shows the 9 miles that we're going to approve. However, in talking with Troy and trying to figure out where our state contract went, it seems to have vaporized. The state contract went away for doing striping. But we found out that they're supposed to award that contract again on the 22nd of this month. So without objection, I would like to table this until our meeting at the end of the month, at which time hopefully we'll have contract pricing so I can ask for an amount to do this. Yes, ma'am.
If I could suggest or request, rather than a table, you do a no action so that I could re-agendize the item with the information we will have available.
I correct my motion. I would like to reject what?
Just take a no action.
Take a no action. Is that like taking a knee?
No.
Oh, just, okay. Okay, no action on 10,
I have none for 11 and 12.
11, and 12. Item 13, consideration possible action on approving permanent road crossings. One Oak and Oakland Natural Gas.
an intersection. Where's this other?
While we're talking about road crossings here, have you read the House Bill 3578?
Which one's that?
It's going to allow the companies to, or allow the counties to permission to oil companies to lay their pipelines in county right of way. If that passes, I would like to put on our agenda to set policy in Logan County that we let none of them run down our county right of ways. That puts us in competition with the landowners.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Is that the same one that has the clause in it that basically allows the county commissioners to override the landowners on pipelines going through that area?
That was
Aye.
House Bill what?
3578. But I think Logan County ought to have a policy that we don't allow any pipelines to run down our county right of ways. We've got enough problems with water lines and phone lines.
So, is that contingent upon the passing of House
Yeah.
Bill 30? Do you want to agendize that then?
I will at that time, but I
Okay.
just wanted to bring it up today for discussion.
Okay, good idea.
Just because we had road crossing permits on the agenda.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on item 13.
Understand what they're trying to do.
I move that we approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Item 14, consideration of possible action on the consent agenda.
Payroll. There are no transfers. These are blankets, and this first one didn't have a stamp, so just sign right in there if you would, please.
Yeah. That's what happens when you run a stop at your wire harness. Well, you notice them boys down there at the Volvo shop have a hard time figuring out what's wrong when they do. It's expensive.
That wiring harness was pretty expensive for a project.
For that double drummer, or that
Yeah,
one?
double done.
Yeah. Ours too. Molly, when do you think you're gonna start paving again?
Well, the city of Orlando's jumping up and down wanting to come up there and pave some stuff.
Right?
It's just hard to get in the mood when it's been 28 degrees.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
It's an asphalt.
road needs to be kind of almost warm when you're doing that. That's why I
But,
was wondering what you thought the season was gonna start.
Yeah, I don't know. If I could catch a good week up there, I would go do it.
Well, I got about 5.5 miles this next year I wanna do, which ain't a whole bunch, but I need to schedule around what you need to do too.
Yeah. I got about 11 or 12 miles I was gonna do, but I'm thinking about going out for bids on 4 of them.
Which reminds me of some legislation, and I do not know the bill number off the top of my head. However, it is up and being backed by all the associations to allow road construction services back to Title 19. So what that means is we could go back to laid in place 6-month bids.
Right. You know, and that's good and that's bad though. I mean, a lot of times they'll bid it just because they don't know the price of oil in 6 months. They're gonna bid it pretty high. So the project deal.
But they
worked
can
out.
lower it. I mean, they're allowed to lower down from when it comes time to use it.
That's right.
How many times have you seen that though?
I've seen it several times.
The only time I've seen it is when you're allowed to go out and ask somebody else, would you do it cheaper? And then they say, yeah.
But I do like the having that.
I think one of the advantages of it is I think it's difficult for some of the vendors to want to bid projects that are in their mind small. And usually with that 6 month, they recognize that may just lay a half a mile or, you know, rather than a 2 or 3 mile run.
The thing I like about it is you don't have to worry about writing up all those contract specifications, and it takes, what, 2.5 months to get through
Takes
that,
one.
to get started? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of paperwork.
We're talking about bids. Where are we at on the crushed asphalt? Can we?
You never got back with me.
Well, I can't find anyone. One company has it to my knowledge. Because take
All
Atlas
source.
Paving and they called their milled asphalt crushed asphalt. So we need to get clarification on,
When you told me you were gonna talk to ODOT,
well, have you ever tried to do that?
I have.
officer report.
Come out with something that makes sense when you get done?
No,
It's not on state contract. Like I said, the only company I found that does it is TJ.
The only other way to do it, Monty, is for you all to come to a consensus on the crushed size and develop a spec based on a minimum, maximum size that fits what y'all are looking for. Because my discussions with the two vendors that will bid it, that is primarily the rub is.
Back to contract specs again here.
Mhm. So we need to come up with the size.
Small, medium, large.
I don't know any other way to do it because the two vendors that offer a product are vastly different on what they consider.
Well, I think Atlas Paving on their crushed asphalt there is $35 a ton.
That's
and-
right.
And TJ Campbell's is $13.95.
Mm-hmm.
So you know they're not bidding apples for apples. I mean, it's just where Atlas is bidding milled asphalt, TJ Campbell's bidding crushed asphalt. It's two different products.
I think they might be doing apples to apples, but they're bidding Granny Smith's versus, Red Delicious. Just thought I'd share that with you.
But I think the problem is TJ Campbell did not fill in on picked up at the plant. They
And
bid
that would,
delivered
yeah,
too.
yeah, they did bid deliver and then no bid the pickup, which I don't understand and apparently they don't understand either when they were asked about it.
I think there's two different parts of that organization that handle those different areas.
I think the city office actually did the bid, not realizing that the Waterloo plan allowed a pickup of the product is what seems to be what may have happened.
So can we not just rebid and picked up at the plant only? I'm sure we got to fill that out.
We can.
What? Sheriff's office.
That'll work, and then you won't have to have specs or hopefully.
I think when we put
It's
all
money.
that on
Just-
one bid sheet, I think they get confused.
Really?
First is always cheaper, so we just go with the cheapest bid.
66,949 for 28 cents on the sheriff's. I think you got that in his front pocket.
Do what?
I was just looking at the sheriff report there.
Yeah, I saw that a while ago.
Yes, he's done 66,000.
That's just 1 month.
It's the week. Now they get them free.
Now we know how they got 3 locations in town.
You never know what way the sheriff's department's gonna go. They're going on each side of town.
There you go.
Is that in on the consent agenda items?
As soon as he's done, yes.
So we can go ahead and start this. I move that we approve the consent agenda. I'll entertain a second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes without objection. Item 15, consideration of possible action on approving claims for payment February 2018. Well, the sheriff's got lots of consent about.
I got what?
A lot to consent about, consent agenda stuff. Yeah. Hey, while we're talking, while we're beating up on you, I was over at this building next door, looking for a place to store some office stuff. And I run into this room, that's full of clothes. Old clothes.
Yep.
Is there a reason we gotta keep those? I'm just curious.
I'm assuming what you're talking about is some of our residents that have been moved to different facilities and have left their clothes.
I would suspect that's what those were, yes, because a lot of them are in bags and, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know what the statute is on what the time limit we have to maintain that property is. Yeah,
What was that?
Troy just told me the current jail administrator is looking into how long we have to maintain that property.
Last update I got is that a lot of it just goes back to departmental policies.
No, it's invoiced
Updating our
before.
policies.
Just
to
to be
reflect
honest
those
with you, I'm not really concerned about that. I want the space to store some other stuff that we need to get rid of.
Yeah, we need the space too. We'll fight you for it.
Well, somebody's already kicked the door in and broke the lock, so it's.
That was Troy. One day.
Ooh.
We don't need to relive that story.
Please no.
Someone put a lock on her door.
It's a great story.
I don't want to hear it. You know? Every time she tells it, her jaw gets tight.
I wasn't there, but it's like I was there because I can see it happening.
It was beautiful.
Just don't y'all forget I have my own little black file cabinet.
You haven't gone to work yet.
I have it locked away.
We put a lock on it too.
And just as an FYI, we only have a couple of weeks. There's a window that was quickly closing that we can't dispose of anything until after elections
Yep.
under the law. So pretty much,
Have you put a finger on when exactly that date is?
30 days prior to filing, so technically it would be what, March the 12th. And it will run until it is known whether the current commissioners will succeed themselves in office. And that's a countywide, that got clear because it was always handled as for, you know,
That
I could,
office.
yeah, the
Sure,
office
right.
could just go ahead, but because the board has to approve the disposal and two officers of the, 3 of the commissioners are up this year, the law has been changed to state that in a year that 2 commissioners are up for election, no disposal of anything countywide can occur from 30 days prior to the filing period until it is known if they will succeed themselves in office. Correct. So if the races were to go to the general election in November, the no disposal would be in effect until that point.
Let me ask you a quick question. How about if one of the 2 commissioners' race went to November?
I think that's been asked and that was kind of one of those, but if we had, that would allow the majority.
Inquiry.
So I'm assuming they would allow it to go on because we would have a majority board. But that's out for clarification.
Didn't think we had county votes in November.
Right? That is it for
I'll
claims.
make a motion we approve the claims.
I have a motion and a second on approving the claims. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion is approved without objection. Item 16, any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none. Item 17, comments, announcements, questions by the Board of County Commissioners.
I just had the House Bill 3578, I wanted to discuss that on, I think we ought to have a policy where we're not in competition with private landowners on pipelines. And I personally don't think the pipelines ought to be in the county right of way. I know they got to cross them, but I don't think we ought to allow them down our right of ways.
Absolutely not.
That's all I
Bill and
can.
deal.
I did have a deal for item 18.
Well, we'll get to that in just a second. Mike, you got anything?
No, I don't think.
Okay, I've got one thing, has to do with, ACOG. Went to the, Area Transportation Improvement Program meeting where we talked about money, right? Federal funds. And we got good news. So we as as a board got good news. And that is that Logan County, the Coltrane Simpson to Seward Road Phase 1 resurface project was given $927,885 in federal funds to start that project. That project was already 100% funded with SERB money, in spite of what our district or CED5 person said that it would never work. It did. And so we got almost $1 million that we're going to be able to apply federal funds to that project, which means that we'll be able to reuse that much money in our 5-year SERB plan if the legislature doesn't steal it from us first.
That's a pretty big if.
Okay, so what we're looking at there is the 2019 plan. The Coltrane project, I was asked when this passed, I was asked if we wanted to accelerate that project, and I said, of course I do. And so Shannon Shepard and the ACOG ODOT rep agreed to put that on for a contract letting for June of this year. So it's going to be accelerated and go to June of this year. And I've got an email from Shannon that talks about what we need to do to get it ready. If either one of y'all would like to look at that, I'd be happy to share it with you.
I say get it ready, let's do it.
That's what I'm talking
Get it
about.
going.
And then 2019, I don't think we got anything on that other than, I mean, as far as safety programs, there's we didn't have anything qualify for the safety program for 2019. 2020, trying to find that right quick. I gave you all my copy. That's why I'm having a problem here. 2020, we didn't have anything fall in either the federal highway or the safety projects. In 2021, we've got a safety project on the list, and that's the signal light at Broadway and Charter Oak that we're wanting to put in. I will say that the items on for 2020 and 2021 are not locked in. All of us, we can still resubmit our plans for the 2020 review next year, and it will compete. They'll compete with all of the rest of them that have been submitted. So if they come up on the number of points, that kind of stuff, and I encourage all of us to do that, because I'll be honest with you, us getting that $900,000 was kind of a lucky deal.
Yeah.
And I say lucky, it was actually because the city of Norman, D'Angelo, or the fellow, the engineer for City of Norman is excellent. He had the top 3 programs for 2019. He had like $15.5 million tied up. Well, they got a rule that you can only have 54% of the money in 1 year. So they had to spread that around. So the city of Norman had to pick one of their projects that they wanted to drop out of that top end and only get funding for 2. Well, what that did was allowed us lower ranked folks to come into that. There were several projects that were in dollar range that were way above us, and none of those municipalities wanted to just take $900,000 and have to fund the rest of their project, right? Because this is the lock-in year. However, having our project 100% SERB fund, I would have taken $5, right? Cause it's, I mean, so when it got down to us, you know, do you wanna overfund your project? And I said, of course we do. And so we took the $900,000 and went on down the road. So I encourage, we need to submit all of our projects back in to the 2020 TIP next year, because you never know where you're gonna end up on that. And the city of Norman's gonna do another great job next year of having the top 4 or 5 projects, and they're gonna have to throw it out, and then it's gonna be a scramble. We were lucky that there wasn't like $3 million left over instead of $900,000 left over, because when somebody would have snapped up $3 million right quick. But anyway, I'm done talking, and
They pretty well turned their noses up at $1 million, you know, which, that's when we get in between everybody else and get something done. That's
Okay.
wonderful, Marm.
Yeah, I hope it gets done quick.
and me too, sir. Anything else on item 17? If not, I will entertain a motion for item 18.
I'll move we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes without objection.